Happiness is the one thing all people seek, yet few truly understand. Some chase wealth, believing that an overflowing treasury will bring them contentment. Others pursue fame, thinking the approval of many will fill the void inside them. And still others believe that happiness lies in fleeting pleasures, indulging in every excess they can find. But the Stoics saw happiness differently. To them, it was not something external, not something given or taken away by fortune, but something cultivated within. The misconception of happiness. Most people believe happiness depends on circumstances. If they achieve success, love, or luxury, then they will be happy. If they face hardship, loss, or discomfort, they will be miserable. But this thinking places our well-being at the mercy of things beyond our control. The Stoics, from Epictetus to Seneca to Marcus Aurelius, knew that if our happiness depends on external conditions, we will always be vulnerable. The world is unpredictable, fortune shifts like the wind. To tie our happiness to it is to build a home on unstable ground. True happiness, the Stoics argue, must come from within. The role of virtue. The Stoics taught that happiness, what they called eudaimonia, or flourishing, is achieved through living a life of virtue. Wealth can be lost, status can fade, and pleasure is temporary, but virtue remains. By cultivating wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, one finds a deep and lasting contentment that does not rely on the whims of fate. Wisdom, the ability to see things clearly, to understand what is within our control and what is not. Courage, the strength to face adversity without losing one's inner peace. Justice, treating others with fairness, regardless of what one receives in return. Temperance, mastering desires, finding joy in simplicity rather than excess. By practicing these virtues, one builds an unshakable foundation for happiness. A virtuous person can lose everything external and yet remain fulfilled, because their happiness does not depend on external things. The power of perspective. The way we interpret events, rather than the events themselves, determines our happiness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Two people may experience the same hardship, yet one may despair while the other remains at peace. The difference is not in what happens, but in how it is perceived. The Stoics remind us that suffering often comes not from external events, but from the stories we tell ourselves about those events. To cultivate happiness, train your mind to see things differently. Instead of saying, "I have lost my fortune," say, "I have been freed from its burden." Instead of saying, "I have been wronged," say, "This is an opportunity to practice patience." Instead of saying, "I have failed," say, "This is a lesson to learn from." By shifting perspective, we transform obstacles into opportunities, setbacks into lessons, and hardships into growth. Living in accordance with nature. The Stoics believed that happiness comes from living in alignment with nature, both the nature of the world and our own nature as rational beings. Nature is ever-changing, indifferent to our desires. To resist it is to fight against the inevitable, bringing frustration and suffering. But to accept it, to embrace the flow of life, is to find peace. Epictetus reminds us, "Do not seek for events to happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen, and your life will be serene." Acceptance is not passivity. It is not resignation. It is understanding that we do not control the universe, but we do control how we respond. The wise person flows with life rather than fights against it. The practice of daily reflection. Happiness, according to the Stoics, is a discipline. It is not something that simply happens, but something we must work toward daily. Marcus Aurelius kept a journal, reflecting on his actions, thoughts, and reactions. Seneca wrote letters to guide himself and others toward wisdom. Epictetus encouraged daily self-examination. Try this practice. Each evening, ask yourself, did I act according to virtue today? Did I let external events disturb my inner peace? Did I interpret events in a way that serves me, or did I let them control me? How can I improve tomorrow? By engaging in this simple habit, you sharpen your awareness and strengthen your control over your happiness. Conclusion. The Stoics teach us that happiness is not found in wealth, fame, or pleasure, but in virtue, perspective, and acceptance. It is a choice, a discipline, a way of living. When you stop seeking happiness outside yourself and begin cultivating it within, you will find that nothing, no loss, no hardship, no external event, can take it away from you. True happiness is the serenity of a mind in harmony with itself, guided by wisdom rather than whim, by virtue rather than vanity. The secret to happiness, then, is no secret at all. It is a path laid out long ago, waiting only for those who have the courage to walk it. If you enjoyed this video, then like and subscribe.